One, two, 1, 2. Okay, looks like we got the live indicator up in the corner. About 10 seconds in. What's poppin'? This is Jordan Thomas here, coming to you with a live stream. I really just wanted to test this out. Wanted to see what it was all about. I'll give it a couple of minutes to see if anyone joins. Hopefully everyone's having a good day, making the best out of their day wherever they're coming from. What's going on, Jonathan G? Thanks for joining. It is definitely like an impromptu live, so I'm going to talk a little bit about why I run, talk about some of the recent things that I put up on the channel, and we'll open up to Q&A. So make sure you queue up your questions. What's going on, Harold? Thanks for joining. All right, cool. Well, there's 3 of us in here, so let's go ahead and get started. So my name is Jordan Thomas. I'm a product manager by day, runner by night, as well as a storyteller here on YouTube. I spend a great deal of my time working on products that serve millions of people out of the day. And one of the things that I enjoy about running is it forces kind of like a one-on-one connection. I started making YouTube videos probably about 5 years ago because I just wanted to share one of the things I enjoy doing a lot, which is running. I've been running since I was probably around like 4 or 5 years old. I was fortunate enough to run in high school as well as walk onto my college track team and got back in the long distance running like around my mid 20s. So one of the primary reasons that I run now is really just about a daily habit. It's something about knowing that I've accomplished something for myself, like first thing in the morning, get those endorphins going. It just creates this like fortuitous cycle of just having something that you want to do, complete it first thing in the morning. I think that with all the various things that are taking place right now, whether it's COVID, whether it's family troubles or issues and things like that, just being able to clear my day, start my day off with a run is an excellent way to go ahead and get going. The second reason I run at this point in my life really is about community. As I mentioned before, I work on products that serve millions of people, but I rarely get to spend as much individual time as I do when it comes to being able to talk with runners. And one of the things that I find is very encouraging is like when you're out of breath, it's very easy to be very honest about how you feel about your day, what's going on with your family, how you view in the world. And so one of the things that I really appreciate living here in Los Angeles is I've been able to connect with so many different run crews, individual runners. And so when it comes to my channel, by virtue of the fact that a lot of us are in social distance, I haven't been able to make as much content as I would like. But I think that that's probably the area that I spend the most amount of my time trying to research how I can be better at that particular area of things. And the last part is really about just overall competition. Like running is one of the things that certainly brings out the best of me when I'm running against someone else. And it's really not so much about doing anything crazy in order to beat them, but it's just being able to be in that competitive spirit, being able to be as prepared as I possibly can, being able to connect with someone else as prepared as they can, and really being able to push it. There's nothing like, I mean, running, like the best comparison that we have to something like dunking on somebody is being able to walk somebody down at the end of a race. And it doesn't happen very often, especially at this point in my life, but it's one of the things that I really do enjoy about it. That's when it comes to making videos about running, really the perspective that I'm here to bring is one, I'm certainly an African-American man. It's not as many people talking about it, running from like a resource development standpoint. So you'll notice on my channel that I have a number of different things that find the way of like tutorials, different ways you can improve your speed, being able to get the most out of your workouts based off of having a little bit of time. Certainly the sneaker reviews are there as well. Back in high school, I used to work in a sneaker store. And so like my knowledge about sneakers is crazy. I don't really consider myself a sneakerhead or even really that much of an enthusiast. I just know it really well. As I mentioned earlier on, because I'm a product manager, I'm used to building products. And so I can kind of understand some of the psyche and some of the thoughts that a person that's developed a shoe, what they're thinking about in terms of who the target market is, what the overall intent for a shoe was. And so you'll see a lot of that video there. Now, the one big thing that I want to take away from this overall video is that where I've mentioned those 3 things, being a habit, being community, and being competition, one of the underlying things about all of it is just running from a place of joy. Like this is my hobby. And so whatever your hobby is, if you're just getting started with running or just find yourself in a position where you want to be able to incorporate something that's important to you or something that means a lot to you, one of the things that I certainly say is if you can do it early and do it in small bits, you're more likely to keep with it. I started off running like 5Ks just like once every like 6 months or so. And then I eventually developed a habit of being at like 20 miles a week. Actually, no, I went from 10 to 15 miles a week, then 20 miles a week, took some months off. And then I started pursuing a goal probably around 2016 of being able to run at least a 6 minute mile and a 20-minute 5K every year. So I would base everything that I would do on my training around hitting that one individual goal. And so here it is coming up on October 5th, which is my birthday, and I'm coming up on that goal again of wanting to make sure that I can run 20 minutes and a 5K in 6 minutes and a mile. Now, there aren't any races really available right now, so I've just got to kind of work it out. I'm going to probably get together with a small group of some people. Fortunately, just before COVID hit, I was able to do a race early in the year, and I was able to hit those goals. But I treat the fall as like the beginning of a new season. And so I'd love to hear from you. Like, what type of questions do you have? What can I answer for you? So Jonathan G, you're saying I've become addicted to challenging myself when it comes to running, and also it's a really good stress reliever. I totally agree with that. And I think that, one of the cool things is that no matter how much time you have, it can be a great way to start your day. It can be something that you maybe can sneak out for a lunch break, or it can be something that you can do to close out your day. What's going on, Philip? So you're interested in a sub 5 4 mile. I got close in my last race pre-COVID. Let me know, how close did you get? What was your exact time? All right, while you get that dialed up. Yeah, so I ran my first sub 5 it feels like 2 years ago now, but it was actually last summer. And I ended up working with a coach, which was really helpful. I felt like I had all of the individual parts. 5:06. Okay, so you're like super close. So I have a video on the channel about that, and I'll add it to the description as a part of, maybe I'll do some like show notes or something like that, since it's say 6 of us here right now. But I would say that one of the first things that I did was I increased my overall mileage. So I went from 30 miles a week to 40 miles a week. The second thing I did was that I made sure to incorporate speed workouts that were going to be so thinking like 200 meters, 300 meters, they were going to be faster than the pace that I would need for the race itself. The next thing that I did was that I actually improved my overall like 5K type pace. And so that helped give me the strength that I needed. One of the other areas that I certainly improved in was just threshold running. So when most people talk about threshold running, they talk about it kind of from the perspective of your Jack Daniels tempo run, which means that you're going to go 15 to 30 seconds faster than your typical 5K pace. Well, with working from a mile, because I just was at so much better at the shorter distances, that really didn't work as much for me. And so I used a percentage of marathon pace. And so when I was training for a 5-minute mile, I was running anywhere between like 7:25 and say 6:45 for up to 50 minutes. And that's a little bit more of a challenging type of run than say like an easier type day, but it's certainly not as challenging as trying to do running 20 minutes at say 5:30 pace. Let's see, Philip, Harold, I'm at 8 flat right now. Okay, Harold, what are you looking to run? What's up, Goku Runner? Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Let's see, we got Jonathan G. Philip, let me know if that helped you at all as far as that workout. So how I want to, like I said, so next one is that Harold, I'm at 8 flat right now. Well, Harold, my first advice to you is to work on getting down to 7 right now. One of the things that was helpful to me in getting down to a sub 5 is that I started, the first mile that I ever ran was actually on a track. It's actually the first running video that I put on this channel. And I ran 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, don't judge me too much, guys. At that particular point in time, I was so new to YouTube that I failed to even film the run. I talked about everything that was going up into the run, and I talked about after the run, but I was afraid to sit my GoPro down, and I didn't want somebody to take it from me. But now I'm a lot more confident, not only in my filming skills, but in my ability to leave GoPros in very kind of discreet places. So yes, my first advice was to first work down to 7 minutes or so. Let's see, next we have, it's a GoPro run. I'm trying to break. Oh, sorry, Jonathan G. What's in your running shoe right now? Do you just wear whatever you feel like? Right now, because I'm not necessarily training for a specific race, I pretty much rotate between 2 different shoes on the, say, like Monday through Friday, which are typically my either easier or kind of like paced days. So I'm going between Nike Pegasus 37 and the Saucony Triumph 18. Both of those could be used or considered like everyday training shoes. I use the Pegasus as more as kind of like I'm going to go a little bit faster, as well as the thing that I'll sub in for track workouts. And I use the Saucony Triumph 18 for like the recovery day, as well as some long runs. If you're new to the channel, um, I did recently a post on the Saucony Endorphin Pro, which I really enjoyed, as well as the Nike Alpha Fly. And so when I'm in the process of like trying out shoes, I tend to use the shoes that I'm reviewing on the weekends because I have the most amount of time to be able to film and review them. And then when it comes to just like what my preference is, because like I said, because I'm not training for a particular race right now, those are the two shoes that I rotate through the most. The Goku runner. I'm trying to break a 7-minute mile. Where are you right now? I see you say you're 2:37. Okay. So I'll give him a moment to respond. Yeah, threshold stuff sounds like so. Let me go through a couple comments. So it says, I want to run at least a 4:45. Harold, okay, I've already talked about that. Goku runner says I'm 237 pounds though. I don't really think your weight is the issue, right? I mean, like you have the body to carry that weight, so it's more about just being able to refine your workouts so that you're in a place where you can get to the place you need to be. Okay, so you're at 7:06 right now. Okay, thanks for the comment on the likes. What types of workouts are you doing right now? As I mentioned before, the big changes for me came when I increased my mileage. I made sure that I had at least one speed workout, and I went away from the traditional tempo run, and I mixed in either threshold type paces, or I would recommend doing threshold intervals. So you want to still get like 4 to 4.5 minute pace at a pace that's probably like 15 to 30 seconds higher than the mile paces you're trying to run. But by breaking it up that way, you're more inclined to be able to continue to do it. And then if you go every other week, tempo type intervals, and then go like tempo/threshold type run, you're more likely to see improvement without like beating your body up too much, which is important to me. Listen, I'm 38 years old, despite this young face, and so I'm looking to do things that's going to continue to preserve my body over the long haul. Let's see who we got. What we got? Luis. Thanks for joining, man. You've been showing me a lot of love on the videos. I appreciate that. I'm glad you were able to jump in here on this long run. It's the best Nike shoe for beginners. I tried to peg 37, but I had heel slippage. I'm a big Nike guy. I spent a lot of time in Nikes when I was younger, and so when they went to the more of like the slung back type of heel type situation, I recognize that a number of you have talked about heel slippage. I just don't have that issue as much, and so as far as a beginner shoe, that to me is probably about as beginner as it gets. I think if you were to try another brand, I think Saucony is definitely doing some interesting things. Asics is another brand that I started with, particularly when it came back to distance running, and so I think that's a good tool as well. Let's see. 706. Okay, I love the Pegasus 37. I tore my Achilles, so it's a perfect shoe for me. But a lot of people have a problem with the heel. Yeah, like the Pegasus 37 to me is like the entry, not even just entry level, but I recommend the Pegasus 37 first, and then depending on what the issue that you're having is, I recommend like differently. Another shoe that actually has been I would show a lot of love to is the Saucony Ride 13. That has a more locked in type of feeling when it comes to the heel slippage. Cool. So Goku run it. Sure, it's just been highlighted my mind. Texas, I'll try again when it cools down if ever. Oh yeah, like now the thing about the mile in particular, like I tend to still use like the old kind of like college schedule or kind of follow like the pros type schedule. Like it's been crazy hot here in Los Angeles, and I'm sure a number of you've heard about the various like wildfires and things like that are going on. So being able to run here has certainly been challenging, and so I've cut what was usually like an hour type run down to most days might be 30, 45 minutes. I try to get in and get out. So Luis says, I did a time trial on July 31st, trying for a sub 6 minute mile and just made a 5:43. That was super. Good job, man. Like you beat your goal by 17 seconds. So I know you're probably thinking about like how do you get down, that 5:30? How do you get down to like 5:20? How do you get down to like 5 minutes, maybe? Or maybe that was it for you. Let me know. What's going on, Hugh? Thanks for joining us as I tried Just tried two new shoes, the Convera 11 Saucony and Glycerin 18. I was Saucony Glycerin 18 Brooks. Okay, it was a major jump from Nike, but I'm not training for speed, so I didn't feel the need to buy Nike Peg Turbos. Okay, cool. So thoughts on the tempo next. I want to comment. I'm in Miami, so humidity kills me. Yeah, so originally I'm from the East Coast. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Up until 2 years ago when I moved to LA, I lived in New Jersey and worked in New York. So I definitely do not miss the humidity. I mean, the heat is here for sure, but that humidity definitely can wear you out. Thoughts on the tempo next. I'm still on the fence about it. I want to try it because there's a mixture of various technologies that are going on there. But as I mentioned before, I'm not a big tempo guy because the two events that I spend most of my time doing are like the mile and the 5K. And so I can pretty much get what it is that I need done with the shoes that I have. The tempo next percent is supposed to serve as like not only a companion to the marathon, but give you something to look forward to when it comes to tempo runs. And so if it's a shoe that's going to make me more inclined or motivated, so at least I'd love to hit a 5 minute mile at 40 years old, but I would need more time. Well, look, you got a couple more years to get there. Like I went from running a 6:15 mile in 2016, and it took me until 2019. Actually, it was 2019, right? Because it's 2020. Yeah. So it took me until 20. It took me 3 years in order to get it down. And there was a number of various things that was going on, but it was really last year that I saw like the biggest drops. I went from running a 5:12 mile down to 4:45. KST 21. I'm not familiar with that. I hate how Nike running gear is so expensive nowadays. I'm gonna tell you the trick with Nike, and it's not even really necessarily a trick. All you have to do is just be a little bit patient. Now, certain things like the fact that like the Nike Alpha Fly or Vaporflies, like it's going to be challenging for you to be able to get those on discount. But most of the things that Nike makes when it comes to running apparel will go on sale after a couple of months. And so if you're just a little bit patient, maybe even looking at what took place as far as the previous year, be flexible on colorways. As a matter of fact, when I did the video on building your running shoe rotation, that's one of the things that I talked about. Because I used to work in a sneaker store, I used to kind of just wait and kind of know when certain sneakers would be on sale. And the nice thing about that was I already had a discount, but I can apply the discount to the already sale price. And so that's how you can get around paying the full price that's associated with that. But I understand and I feel you on that. What's going on, Joey? Thanks for joining. Hello from Bellevue, Washington. I can't wait till all the smoke clears so I can get back to running again. Are you based here in LA? If so, yeah, like it's definitely it's taking a toll on me these last few days. I came in the house last 2 3 days and told my wife like, yeah, I've got a headache. It just seems like I just couldn't like quite shake it off, and so I just took it real easy. Yeah, go right. Yeah, I saw that. I think it did like a few weeks back. It's certainly possible. I believe it's just really one of those things where it's like it's your body weight, so you just have to know how to carry it. I don't believe in telling people that they should necessarily just drop weight just cause, unless that's their desire. I don't believe in that or preach that. When it comes to having a goal, like that is the goal. So the item becomes okay. What can we do to get you as familiar with that pacing as possible? One of the other things that I would ask you to consider is like, what are your 400-meter paces? What are your 800-meter paces? Those are things that you can begin to work on in small increments and build up to that mile. And then if you run longer races, you want to bring those two things down. So speed work, I might look into the Nike Streak LT4, MoFel. Yeah, like so, like when it comes to the speed work, like because I started off running track, that is actually I lean more towards a outright flat for track work, particularly when it comes to the mile type training, because you get the benefits of a lightweight type trainer, but you don't have like the hard plate that's associated with track spikes. So yeah, so I appreciate y'all joining. We can hang out here for a little bit longer. Just keep the questions coming. I think this is really dope. I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit for not taking advantage of this live stream sooner. But I was literally sitting in the house and I was watching somebody else's live stream and I was like, yo, like I have an audience. I feel like people want to hear from me. So let me jump on and talk to some folks. And so this is a very like bare bones setup. I appreciate Goku complimenting the lights. I want to go in and do some of the things I need to do to get the resolution as crispy as my regular videos. But I thought this would just be a cool way for us to just talk and just hang out for a little bit. So, a favorite runner, Elliot the GOAT, if you ask me. For real, like my guy is Michael Johnson. He was the world record holder for the 200 meters and the 400 meter at the same time. It wasn't until Usain Bolt and then my guy from Australia beat both of his records. But I just like the way that he carried it not only on the track but off the track, and I like the fact that he had an unusual form. And so rather than trying to conform to what the ideal form was, his coach maximized his ability. And so that goes back to the point that I made earlier. Like I think that if you have a desire when it comes to running, is that you want to find someone or find methods that help maximize your ability. Now, certainly there's some things that become somewhat universal in terms of being able to do the right types of workouts, but finding like the right mixture of workouts, finding the right person to help tweak various parts of your form, your process, and things like that are going to certainly be to your benefit. Usain Bolt, definitely up there. I feel like he's certainly like the most entertainment. Like, he's definitely like straight box office. I feel like every time he raced, like it was an exciting thing. I think he did an amazing job of getting people that weren't even into the sport to enjoy watching it. I think it's someone that loved watching track and field. I definitely look forward to watching him as well. Yeah, this huge love the goals. Yeah, definitely love the gold spike. So that was definitely something that stood out to me. Like that was like that for a long time. Like was the standard for like one of the like the most like rare like specialty spikes. I remember like when he had like the black and gold ones, and I was in high school at the time. And it was no reason for me to have those spikes. One, because I wasn't that fast, and two, even with me working in a sneaker store, I just couldn't imagine spending in that time. I think like $150 or something like that. So I couldn't imagine spending that for a track spike at the time. So Joshua Kupchak might be the next big thing now. Yeah, that's certainly possible. You guys, let me know in the comments, like who's your favorite runner? Let's see, we got Joshua guy. Okay, he'd be cool to maybe running a kayak. Yeah, when it comes to locations, I think one of the coolest locations I believe that I've ran in probably was Maui, and that was something I did a couple years back. My wife and I went there for New Year's. It was an amazing experience. The air was so clean, and I know that's such a odd thing to bring up, but especially with the air being kind of kind of tough right here in LA, it certainly stands out to me. No allows, I think it definitely is next. I think that with some additional performances, I believe that like he's certainly up. I believe he wants to be the guy or the person that gets people out to come. I think he's gonna put on some more performances to show like how dominant he can be. As I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Olympics. I'm looking forward to see a head-to-head with him and Christian Coleman, particularly with both of them looking to pursue the 100 and the 200. I think it'll be interesting because Christian Coleman right now is on a little bit of a suspension. So I'm looking to see or find out whether or not they're going to lift that so that he can compete. Yeah, Sugar as they call him. Yeah, he's nice. I don't know if you guys have checked out the channel Portlandia, but they did this whole like race series. It was pretty simple format, but it was a really cool way, and they showed various like races, like kind of like intermeet races with just a handful of teams out in the Portland area. It was a really good way, and they contested a number of different distances that most people like don't run. So like the 600 meters, for example, or 1,000 meters, and these in some ways for like us, it would probably come off as like a workout, but they was really like getting after it. And I thought it was super cool. How much stock do I put in a VO2 max? Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys, like when it comes to data, I appreciate it as a part of my tools, but it is not the toolbox. If anything, the one thing that I appreciate the most about having access to a GPS watch is the fact that the overall run gets recorded. I think VO2 max is certainly a way as well as heart rate. Those are all different things that you can use as measurements of performance. But at the end of the day, your performance is your performance. Like, did your time improve? Were you able to run for a longer period of time? Were you able to cover more distance? Those are the things that I spend the majority of my time looking at. I do think heart rate training is a great way if you're starting off and running and you just have no sense of like what easy versus hard is. And so right now, as a matter of fact, I do have on the Garmin 245 music. If you're looking for a longer review on it, check that out. But I think this is the best bang for your buck GPS watch that Garmin offers. I came to GPS watches probably like 3 or 4 years ago, and I started off with the most basic one they had, which was like the FR35. I think it's less than $100 right now. And I think the other cool thing is that you get within like the Garmin system, and then so if you want to dive deeper into the data and want to be able to attach like a stride foot pod or a heart rate monitor that you like put across your chest, you can certainly do that. So should I invest in a Garmin or should I just stick with an Apple Watch? If you're newer to running or if you don't need a dedicated running watch, you're probably fine with the Apple Watch. I don't know if you guys saw the latest Apple event, but they're doing some really cool things in terms of enabling that. But if you want to like race and just have a dedicated watch, then I would say go with a running specific watch. One of the biggest benefits to me about having a running specific watch, specifically this Garmin watch, is that I like the ability to program in my intervals directly into my watch. And so I do a lot of like mixed interval type rate running. So if I'm doing like a workout of like 600, 400, and 200 with different with like varying rest, I can just set it to open intervals and be able to jam through that. And that's something that I haven't been able to find as much in other watches. Not saying there's other watches out there that don't. I just think Garmin does it in a really good way. Let's see, sugar is 29. Yep. 205. Garmin isn't super accurate. How so, Philip? Where did you find that it was less accurate? What did you find that was less accurate then? Let's see. We're gonna Series 6 now because of what I heard. Yeah, man. I think it's just cool. Like one of the things that as I mentioned in the beginning of this, I'm a product manager, and so when I think about when it when it comes to purchasing a product, I think about it from a perspective of what problem does this solve for me? Oh man, one of my lights went out. All right, so that's part of a live stream, right? You just gotta roll with it. So I lost the whole orange glow on my side. Sorry, guys. Um, the thing I think about is like, what problem does it solve for me? I haven't been able to solve what problem the Apple Watch solves for me because my phone is where I receive my calls, and that's where I get my music from. Um, when it comes to like a heart rate monitor, if I need it, I would use my running watch. So let me know. Are you interested in the Apple Series 6 watch? Let me know. If you have an Apple Watch, like why do you use it? Hey, what's going on, Alexandra? Thanks for joining in. One of my Good Vibes Trap Club folks. What's going on, John? Have you ran in high school or college? I actually did both. So I did the 110 meter and 300-meter hurdles in high school. I was decent enough to walk onto my college track team and run the 400-meter hurdles for a couple of years. But after a while, all my hard work just wasn't enough. At some point, some people are just faster and better than you. And so I continued on to get my engineering degree, and that worked out just fine for me. Thanks for the question, though. That's a good one. Hey, what's going on, Ward? Any racing at all in your future? Right now, there's not really too many. I haven't seen any in-person races available here in Los Angeles. I believe that there's gonna be a couple opportunities for me to do a couple time trials with a few folks. I started this whole live stream off talking about one of the core reasons that I run is for the community aspect of things, as well as being able to compete and also just stick to a daily habit. One of the things that I'll be doing, my birthday is coming up on October 5th, and so I'm going to get together with a few folks and attempt what my yearly goal is, which is to make sure I can get under 20 minutes in the 5K. And then depending on like what's going on, I might do like all out 400 meters or something like that as well. But I just want to see where I'm at. So I'm an Apple fanboy, so I'm gonna be biased. Okay, that's right, Libra gang gang. So let me know, like, what made you purchase the Apple Watch? States on 2020. Hopefully we'll get that 20-minute 5K. Okay, cool. What about you, Ward? Do you have any races coming up right now? I feel like it's about like 6 or 7 above what I think I can actually do. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Philip. Where the Pegasus Turbo 3s? Man, I don't know. I thought that there was going to be a Turbo 3. It seems like I can't. I can probably make a few guesses. It feels like Pegasus Turbo 3 isn't happening. It feels like that the Tempo Next percent is supposed to fill that overall gap of kind of being that in between, something that gets you some zoom X, gets you some durability, gets you some familiarity before you navigate up to like the Alpha Fly or the Vaporfly. I think it was just value for all that it did. It's the integration of that map with iPhone and iMovie. Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. For those of you who just joined, I was asking questions about wondering like why people buy Apple watches, and so I was looking to see understand somebody's perspective on whatever. Now I bought my wife one, and the reason I bought her one is that she wanted the heart rate monitor, but it was also just like it was a simple enough thing that she could understand and be able to work with, and because she already uses iPhone, it made sense for her. For me, I tend to use very specific things for very specific jobs. I think I'll be purchasing an Apple Watch for my girlfriend. She loves. Yeah, I get it. The significant other is certainly a reason to keep up to date with certain pieces of technology. So I'm pre-launch reminder task system is watch OS keeps me on track. No pun intended. That was good. All right, cool. One other thing I wanted to touch on a little bit is, hey, I appreciate you all for joining. I appreciate the fact that you guys are showed up for this very impromptu live stream. I look to do more of these. I'm going to try to figure out my frequency. And now having done one, I recognize that I don't feel as trapped. I'll say you probably heard various creators talk about like having ideas in their head and wanting to be able to get things out, but there's just a lot of time that's associated with like editing videos and things like that. But sometimes I really do just want to get on here and talk with you, and so this is going to create a definitely a cool way for us just to connect. So let me see. To be honest, for me, an Apple Watch is more practical. I can wear it out casually and for running, but for some reason, to me, the Garmin looks bulky. But I could be wrong. I'm new to the running scene. Okay, so Jonathan, your point is certainly valid. Because I'm working from home all the time, I don't even think about that anymore. And you're right. I tend to not wear my Garmin watch when I am going to work. I have a whole different watch, just a standard watch for that. And so I don't feel like it's bulky. It's digital. It's just not what I think to work. But I work in like I'm a product manager, and so it's just kind of like assume that you're going to wear some kind of like techie type stuff. So it's not crazy. It's just not the thing that I think about too much. So I'm a Garmin fan too. My wife has the Apple Watch, but the Garmin seems more feature rich for exercise, particularly running and cycling. Yeah, I think what ends up happening is that if you just want to just get out, press start and press stop, you're going to be fine. It's the moment that you want to start doing more advanced type of things that the right tool becomes the thing for the job. Similar to if you just want to be able to take a quick photo of you and your significant other, you and your family, your cell phone is probably good enough. But the moment you want to start messing around with like high degrees of bokeh, you want to have interchangeable lenses, that's when a DSLR or a mirrorless camera start to be more relevant for you. Also, you got to remember, are we going to spend $200 for a watch just to use when you run, but different strokes for different folks? Here, another valid case. For me, because I run a lot, and it's my primary hobby, for me, it's worth the price. And I don't upgrade my watch every year. I typically upgrade my watches every 2 years. And that would be one of the other things I want to do with these overall live streams is like bring in some of just like my knowledge of technology and just like productivity into what's going on. So one of the things that I would tell you is that with a number of technical type things, the bigger innovation happens every couple of years. The incremental innovation happens yearly. So when we think about like cell phones, every 2 years is when like the big things that happen. So I don't know if you guys heard. So GoPro Hero 9 is out. Now I skipped the Hero 8 because I had the Hero 7. Now I knew that the 8 was going to be a significant body change, but I wanted to see what else they would put into it, which they did with the Hero 9, and they've actually even improved on the 8. So I'm gonna grab the 9. So that's something I would give to you all as well. And then if you don't have a need to be as up to date when it comes to the most advanced thing, then buy the thing that came out a year or two ago. Maybe check out a couple of reviews, check out a couple of edited choices. Like buy the best available from a couple of years back. Not only are you going to get a really great product, but you'll also be able to get it for a heavily discounted price. Oh, cool. Philip, you getting your electrical and computer engineering on? Yeah, so I have an undergrad in electrical engineering as well as a master's. So I certainly appreciate the rigor that's around that. My first job coming out of college was working for a defense contractor where I was working on um, aircraft carriers as well as satellites. So really cool work. I eventually recognized that where I appreciated making things or designing things, that I had an even broader interest in terms of like the business of why we did things. So I went on to becoming a management consultant, and then I eventually ended up back in product management, which gave me a really great blend of being able to talk business, be able to talk marketing, but also be able to talk about the technical aspects of things. And so one of the things that I would certainly say in terms of just pursuing an electrical engineering degree is just being able to understand that everything has a process from A to B, and also kind of like future proofing yourself because power will always be needed to make things. And so whether you go the coding route, whether you actually one of the rare people that get to work on a piece of physical equipment like a cell phone, you're in a good situation there for sure. Tasking information knowledge is key. All right, cool. I see. Also good to see another high school hurdler turn the longer run. They ran 110 highs and oh wow, okay, yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, like it's a total kind of like mind flip to go from trying to be finished a race in 15 to 16 seconds and then thinking about running potentially 15 or 16 miles, if you're getting ready for a marathon. But I think my body has certainly appreciates not having to go over any high hurdles anymore. And I think that it was good that I stopped running when I was like a sophomore in college because it allowed me to have some time away from the sport, and it allowed me to continue doing it now at 38 years old. So sorry, 37. I'm rushing my age. I'll be 38 on October 5th. Nice to see us grad out of Phoenix. I have to go, but really hoping to see more live streams. Thanks for joining, Louise. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm feeling kind of weird about that like this. I need to make sure that I go ahead and charge up for the next one. But thank you so much for joining. I appreciate all of you. I'm gonna leave this up because I want people to know that I'm gonna be live streaming. And I'll see you next time. Jordan Thomas, peace.